Creature by Pileup. It is 12 songs, 53 minutes long. As long as I don't lose my voice because of all the coffee I've been drinking. Um, a solid, like, shoegazy indie grunge inspired record, I would say. Definitely something that I had to listen to it twice to really get into it. But like example, we'll just jump
I
right
mean, like,
into it.
there's
But
also one thing I'll say in general, which is that
oh, yeah, go ahead.
this album, yeah, it's like a sort of like local, smaller indie project, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
actually mixed and mastered by Peter Stone, who also mixes and
Oh,
masters
sick.
Audioface. And so, even though we've had different things where we have like friends of Audioface throw on musical projects they've worked on in the past, we try not to be biased or critical in any of those things, and we'll definitely not pull punches and call it where we see it. That being said, this album rocks. Like, I really enjoy it. Like,
I was gonna
still.
say I didn't even know anything about it. I genuinely like this record a lot. I will admit, I will say this. It took me a good 2 listens to really like understand it because it is slow. Like the opening 2 tracks, intro, running around, I thought it was going to be a little bit kind of quicker pace, like throughout the middle, but it is a slower record, almost like
Such as like
the comparison.
such as like folk and like the inspiration is kind of like pulling from though.
Yeah. Like example, you get some like Dark Side of the Moon of Pink Floyd, where you get that slower alt rock inspired, like like late 70s, early 80s indie style, where it's kind of slow and builds up, or even some Smashing Pumpkins records like Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, where you have a lot of slower tracks that are beautiful, but they take a while to build up. That's what you get with this record in that way. And first listen through, I didn't particularly enjoy it. The second listen through, I got it, and I was like, okay, actually, I really like this. Running Around, I love that track. I really like how it has all those inspirations where you know me and my rant of people using way too much of 90s influence but not making it their own. And Running Around is a perfect little homage to even like slow dive style 90s grunge and shoegaze, but making it just enough indie in this decade to push it a little bit further. And the production of it, everything that sounds genuine and beautiful. When I got to the second listen to of that track, I was like, I
Oh
understand
yeah,
it now. I
yeah.
really
Thank
like it.
God this is like an indie album we're reviewing in 2022 that doesn't sound like all other indie records. Like this,
No,
it not,
exactly.
and nor does it sound like too much of a callback to our golden age of indie in like the early aughts, where it was very much like indie shoegaze, almost you go off in a trance listening to it kind of stuff. Like this is a
Yeah.
good modernization of that, and it's not only that. There are a lot of really good inspirations through it. I like just like the production note of having Fun City as like a little and intro as well. Just these shorter transitional pieces throughout the record to kind of help move things along. And throughout the rest of the album, you just benefit from longer
You
pieces that help make that happen.
And the other thing going on to the transitions, most of the tracks transition into each other very, very well. I will say this, it doesn't shuffle great, but to play as a record throughout, it's fantastic. Example, Glue, like the way Glue ends into May I Be Well, like it's that really fuzzy distortion sound that goes right into May I Be Well. And it's fantastic the way it does that because with longer tracks, you can do it a number of ways, like either a hard cutoff and get into it, which not many people can do very well. You can do it where you have little transitions in between, which I'm glad they did only those kind of 2 at the beginning of the record, and it worked out well for Intro and Fun City. Or you could do it where they literally transition into another song, so that way it feels like you're almost listening to a poem in the way that it
Yeah.
goes through, or like reading a book where it transitions and you're getting this story that's told. And it's beautiful because when I was listening to it the first and second time, like I was driving, I'm like, oh, is the song still going? And I look and I go, oh, wait, it's another song. And then you hear it transition. I go, that's beautiful the way it does that. Sometimes it's a little too slow, I feel like, where they can maybe pick it up a little bit into it just to have it play through a little bit better with it. But those transitions are
Yeah,
wonderful.
and
And I
that
love that.
those transitions kind of go to the cohesion of a record too. So that just
Super
really adds to
cohesive.
it there.
Yeah.
Other highlights of this album, I like the song Deano, Dino. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that
Mm-hmm.
right,
You know?
but it combines shoegaze and like blues almost. Like it's very,
Yeah.
very interesting. It's like I didn't know I wanted this, but I definitely like this. I want more of this. It was definitely a highlight of the record for me. And yeah, well, I guess what was surprising for me is that yeah, you had longer songs on here, but there were points that you know, maybe it's just me acclimating myself more to this kind of music, but I didn't feel like it was too slow or too boring in any kind of way. Like it's definitely slower music, so to speak, because that's just like folk, this part of the genre. But it felt like there was enough interesting going on between the vocals, which were layered really well and worked really well as an instrument, and all the other actual instruments going well there to create a vibe. Like it just really works out well that way. And so I didn't feel like any of the slower songs you even had, like especially as you get to the near the end of the record, like with let me make sure I have this right. Yeah, like last year. I felt like
I wanted to talk about that
yeah,
track. It's so good.
yeah, go into it.
We have this thing, yeah, we have this thing in trap, right, where you make like two songs into one and whatnot, but sometimes you can get like played out. And last year, you have this like 2.5 minute long kind of intro to where it builds and builds, and it's this beautiful like little like almost acoustic piece at the beginning, but you have the fuzz of the guitar in the background that's just waiting to be unleashed. And then finally, halfway through the song, about like the 3 minute mark, it just blossoms to this beautiful track. And I'm like, oh, I love this. And it's, you know, paying homage to that 90s sound, but still staying true to themselves as musicians and as a record to where it doesn't feel cheap or anything. It's just wonderful. And I haven't gotten that sound in a long time. And there aren't too many people that who make it to where they make it sound like it's something new or something where they push you forward. A lot of the times they just basically steal it off a completely different project. But with the way it transitions into even the last track into Creature and how it transitions from September 1st, the track before it, it's wonderful.
Yeah. So
Overall, I really enjoyed this record a lot.
yeah, definitely adding several of these tracks to our Untitled
already did.
2022 AF playlist. We're in October, so we have some time to come up with next year's playlist title. Nowhere to go but up.
that should literally be the name of the playlist. Nowhere to go but up.
We can work on that. But arbitrary scale. So. We do arbitrary scales every week on Audioface because our review is our review. We said we wanted to, and we wouldn't defile or degrade or desecrate or I stopped myself. Just a review by giving it a number or a grade. So we'll just rank it arbitrarily. This week it is Rappers Named Baby. And I'm gonna give this Young Baby Tate.
You're gonna use Young Baby Tate? Alright. That's a good I think Young Baby Tate's a good one. What am I gonna give this? Which baby? Damn. I'm gonna give this Bad Baby. Bad Baby.
That's your Bad Baby? That's a good one.
That's Bad Baby. Yeah.
Yep. Bali Baby. That could have been a possible one, but
yeah, that's another one.
Yeah.
Nobody gets Da Baby though.
Yeah.
Nobody deserves that one.
Yeah, no. We didn't review any Da Babies this week.